Hello, my name is David Turner and this is another Lunar Poetry Short. Today I'm joined by the wonderful host of the monthly music and poetry night, Union, Kyla Manenti. Hello Kyla.
Hello.
Hello. We're just in Putney in Kyla's living room. So it's going to sound really relaxed and casual.
So relaxed.
Just really relaxed.
A few glasses of wine down.
Yeah, this is the first podcast I've done with a drink. I'm not drunk, but I have a drink. That's all I mean. First of all, we're going to start talking about your night, Union.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you get involved with Union?
I'd been going to poetry nights for a couple of years, I guess, and at the time I kind of didn't have a job. I'd been made redundant and I was working a bit, but I was working from home and I had a lot of time to think. And I just kind of had this idea, I think, as I was going to sleep. You know how you have ideas when you're going to sleep and they seem like the best idea in the world?
I don't have any ideas.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll make a point of it.
For those of us that sometimes have ideas, sometimes get them when you're going to sleep. and you think, oh, this is excellent, it's the best idea ever. And then you wake up and you think, oh, it's rubbish. But actually, I woke up and I was like, nope, it's still a really great idea. I should run a poetry night. I should do something at the Half Moon, which is a venue I know really, really well and it's really close to my heart. And they don't do anything like that, and as far as I know there's nothing like that around this area. It would just be really great to bring poetry to this part of London, and to people that maybe don't really think they would necessarily enjoy poetry, which is why we mix it with music as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you realised that poetry events can't sustain themselves on their own, so you had to add music to attract the punters.
It's not that I thought poetry nights can't sustain themselves. Or maybe it is kind of. Maybe having the music there is kind of like an insurance. Maybe I was worried about just launching a poetry night, especially in a well-known music venue. I don't know, I think it kind of makes sense. Most of my friends really love music, really love going to gigs, but wouldn't necessarily think they would enjoy a poetry night. And so I was kind of just going off what I knew, the people that were closest to me, and I kind of, I made it for people like that.
Yeah, I suppose it does make sense in context of the venue as well, because the Half Moon is such a famous
it's iconic
venue.
It's really iconic, and people that play there, people go back a lot because the sound is amazing. And you know, there are a lot of music venues popping up that are just kind of corporate, horrible places, and so somewhere like the Half Moon that has a lot of heart and history is really special, I think.
Yeah, because actually when I came to Union for the first time, I hadn't been to the Half Moon for like 10 years or something, and it's all been painted in the bar. It all looks quite fancy now, but they haven't changed the back room.
They have changed it a bit. Like they've put, I don't want to go into the details. They've put a few, they put new floor down and stuff like that. What
I mean is, it still feels like a proper music venue.
Oh yeah, like the stage is still the stage. Like they haven't moved anything around. You know, it's still very much the Half Moon. Yeah.
It must be quite difficult at times to keep the night going, as you know, especially with the spoken word side of it. I mean, what drives you to persevere with it?
I think, it is hard, and there were times, there were a couple of occasions during the first year where we cancelled because it was there were issues like with booking people, or people pulled out, and we felt like we weren't on top of it. But now I'm kind of used to it. I'm in the rhythm of doing the bookings and everything, and I guess what pushes me to keep it going is the fact that it's sort of my responsibility, and I don't want to let myself down, and I don't necessarily think that anyone would care if I did cancel it, but I want to believe that they could, because you know that makes it something worthwhile.
So it's more your commitment to the night rather than any. You don't feel any real obligation to the spoken word scene as such.
No,
it's just rather that now you've started it, you want to keep it going.
Yeah, it's my thing. Yeah,
that's fair enough. I think people will relate to that.
Yeah.
So just a bit of background for the listeners. Now, you don't read poetry open mics like most of my guests do on these podcasts. I thought it'd be interesting to have a chat with someone that runs a regular night and quite a well-known night as well. And so this is also going to mean that Kyla isn't going to read any poetry on the podcast.
I'm sorry.
It's alright, I don't mind. As everyone knows, I fucking hate poetry anyway. So this is going to be all the better for it, or without it. So this might be quite a short podcast, but I hope it'll be interesting anyway. So you're the only non-poet that I know, non-open mic attending poet that I know that runs a night. So why would you do that?
Because when I started going to poetry nights in London, I didn't know what to expect, and I can't even remember what I thought it was going to be like. But you just realise that it's this whole world, and there are communities within it, and you get a really weird mix of people, and it's an opportunity to be really open as well. And you'd get people. I started by going to Poetry Unplugged at the Poetry Cafe, which I think is an obvious place for people. When you don't know where you're going to go, you go to the Poetry Cafe.
Hello, Niall.
Yeah, and you sit there and you realise, oh, loads of these people know each other, okay, and you sort of like feel like a bit of a tourist, and I don't know, you just and then there'll be like the bloke that tries to come when he can make it from work, and loads of his poems are about just sitting in the office really late at night, and it's like, my God, you're just like this like desk bound guy, but you've got this amazing creative side, and you come to this night with these people who are completely different to you, and some are students, and some are unemployed, and some are like a bazillion years old or whatever, and it's just so great, and it's awesome, and you want to be a part of that, and you want to further that, and you want to share it with other people. So yeah, that's why.
My next question is really just to highlight the reality of running a night, and not to catch you out in any way. But I was just wondering what your sort of hit ratio is when it comes to booking the poets that you want each month, compared to with actually just having to fill the slots.
It sort of depends. It depends how organised I'm feeling at the time. If I'm booking really far ahead, then maybe I'll think a bit more about who I'm booking. Yeah, if I'm honest, it's kind of you never really know how it's going to go. Sometimes you're panicking and you book people at the last minute and you're not sure if they're going to be right. Sometimes you book people at the last minute and they're really, really awesome. And sometimes there are people you just really, really want to get there, and you work really hard to get them there because you know they're going to be great. It's a mixture. It's a mixture of
you only asked
sorts.
When I featured, you asked me like 2 days before, and that was obviously amazing. So that worked out really well. Huh?
Well, I mean, that was one of those times when I just kind of looked back and really regretted it. I'm not one of these people that has a lot of regrets, but I kind of thought, well, Kyla, now you know. Be more organised, be prepared, otherwise you're going to get David Turner on your stage doing a freaking monologue down the telephone.
Won't be burned again. No, because I think it's interesting. I think a lot of people would assume that a lot of this stuff is planned well in advance, but I think it's pretty organic with a lot of nights, I think.
Yeah,
our night, for instance, with Silence Found a Tongue, quite often we're still just booking people a week before the event. But
I think that's what's so great, because that that's when you might get something really rubbish, or you might get something awesome, and it's kind of, it keeps you on your toes, and that's how it should be. No one really knows what they're doing in life. God, everyone kind of just like wings it.
I don't know what you're talking about. Right, so your day job is as a journalist, right?
Yeah.
And so along with that and your obvious commitment to spoken word, I think you should be recognised in some way. Maybe
get some kind of medal from the Queen.
Medal from I think from Niall O'Sullivan. Actually.
Oh my God! Wow, I don't think Niall's even aware of me, so that would be quite special. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be his aides. We'll tell him about you. Okay. You're from Putney, and
right.
So the combination of these two things has led me to ask you to guest host on some of these shorter podcasts, which I'm really excited to happen.
Yeah.
So this chat is also to introduce you to the 3 or 4 regular listeners that I have to this podcast. 2 of them, I'm related to them.
Hiya.
Yeah, hello.
They can't see you waving, just so you know.
Oh no, because I have this really awkward habit of going, and like I will tell the listeners I'm now pointing down. Like, and what I mean is that's the description under the YouTube video. Like,
right.
That's what that means.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
I was waving at the mic then, you're right there.
Yeah.
Why would you want to get involved with such a thankless task?
With doing the podcasts?
Yeah.
Because in my previous job, I did a lot of interviewing celebrities and whatnot, and I love interviewing people. I think everyone is really interesting. Everyone. And I kind of missed that. So yeah, as an opportunity, this is like me getting to carry on talking to people, learning about them, kind of pushing the edges, and seeing what happens. And I think it's just fascinating. And if anyone else finds it interesting, that's a bonus.
And I asked you initially to stick to the regular format that we have, but I just wondered if you had any thoughts on how you'd like these podcasts to develop.
I think since
apart from
you've
having
asked,
your name all over them.
I think that since you're here tonight, and like you said, this is the first time you've been drinking when you're doing an interview, and it's quite a chilled night. You've come over.
I said I have a drink. I didn't say I've been drinking. Right?
Well, I saw you knocking a few back. You brought a hip flask with you, so you came over. We made some food. We had a meal. I know that when you go and interview people for the podcast, you go to their place because often they live kind of out of London, and I'm sure they give you like a cup of tea or whatever from the sounds of it. But I've given you food, and what I'm thinking is, food is really important. I'm kind of hoping that whoever I interview, I'll go round theirs and they'll give me some food, and I'll kind of part of my assessment of them during the interview will be how good they are as a host.
Is it
through their food that they offer me?
Great British Poet off or something, like some sort of they got a...
I think that sounds really gimmicky.
Through to the next round.
I think that's really gimmicky. What you need to think is, for me, I grew up, my dad's Italian, food is just a really important part of life, and in Italy they mix food with art regularly. It's all just part of life. They flow into each other. So eating with someone and eating what someone chooses to give you, it's a way of getting to know them in the same way that interviewing them for a podcast is. So it would just be another way of getting to know them, and we'll bond through the food. So as long as they don't give me shaped potato or party rings, I'm fine.
Yes, no, shaped potato for Kyla.
So that's my kind of direction with the podcast.
Oh, true, yeah. And if you had more time than is allowed, than I'm allowing you in these short podcasts, which is like 15 or 20 minutes, are there any particular topics that you'd like to see discussed more?
I think the great thing about longer interviews is that there's more space to chat, so you're not just constrained by the questions you've got there and you need to kind of bash them out. So I think with a longer one, there isn't anything specific that I'd be going for, but I would hope that it would end up just being a sort of more organic conversation, and through that you'll kind of learn little things that you wouldn't even have thought to ask, or someone wouldn't even have thought to say, like interesting kind of bits of context that will just really round out the interview. I'd just like it to be more kind of natural if it was longer, like a chat, but about poetry.
Oh God. Your sex
and food. Oh, I'll get my car. Oh no, I live here.
Yeah, just to finish off, are there any recommendations you've got for listeners, people to watch or check out, things to go and see?
What, like poets?
I know it doesn't have to be.
I mean, it's hard because I don't know the people that listen to this. I don't know what they already know, and I wouldn't want to kind of be patronising and say,
"Oh, no, patronising is fine."
If I don't
if they listen to this, they deserve it.
But you know, it's but then there are just really obvious people that I would say you should go and see. So there's no point kind of going through all of that. Like, I guess someone that I'm kind of watching at the moment, and who I think will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see where she is in a year's time. Is Becky Moses. She hasn't been performing for very long. I think she's only been doing poetry for like a year, but I think she's really promising, and I think that in a year's time she could be doing really, really cool stuff. So that's one that probably everyone already knows about anyway.
I don't know
but
who she is. So
well, that's my tip.
Thanks for that, Kyla.
That's all right, David.
That's everything. That's all. Yeah. So there will be under the YouTube. So I'm pointing down again. Under the video, there will be links to the night that Kyla runs, Union, at the Half Moon pub in Putney.
Cool.
And links to... Have you got anything you want, like blogs or anything you want to talk about? If not, we'll just put links under...
No.
Union
would be great.
Just the Union thing, isn't it?
Point people to Union, get people down in South West London for some poetry, make it a cool place again.
Christ.
Everyone thinks it's the end of the world and they can't get there, but it's not that far.
How do you get home?
Oh, you just get home. The same way you get there, the same way anyone gets anywhere in London.
No, transport links are irreversible in South West London.
That's absolutely ridiculous. They can stay at mine. We've got a spare room.
Right.
My housemate will be like,
no. Thank you, Kyla.
Thank you.
It was lovely chatting.
You too.
Thanks for the gnocchi.
That's all right. They were delicious.
They were, all of them. Yes, that was Kyla Manenti. I'm David Turner. This was a Lunar Poetry Short. You go.